Welcome to Token Integrity, Nocturne Gaming's Blood on the Clocktower Token Guide Series. I am Atreides of Nocturne Gaming, and today we are going to be looking at one of the townsfolk of Ravenswood Bluff, the Washerwoman. The Washerwoman ability reads, you start knowing that one of two players is a particular townsfolk. So, on your first night, during your waking step, the storyteller will wake you up, point to two players, and then reveal a particular character token. It's important to note that this character token must be that of a townsfolk, which is very significant on the home script of the Washerwoman, Trouble Brewing, also known as TB, or really on any other script featuring a specific outsider, the drunk. Well, more or less. In addition, you will not learn anything else for the rest of the entire game. Because of how TB's roles are arranged on the script, this and other you start knowing characters are sometimes colloquially known as top fours within the community, because the first four roles on Trouble Brewing start the game with a singular piece of information and learn nothing else. So what does this mean? This means that as the Washerwoman, you hard confirm the presence of another townsfolk of Ravenswood Bluff, which is terrific information to begin your game with. If the final three players alive feature you, the player that you saw, and one other player, you can be pretty sure you know exactly who that demon is. In addition, you can also trust in the information or the efficacy of the role that you saw, barring any other drunkening or poisoning that might be featured on the script. Also, you will not be gaining any new information for the rest of the game, so you are beautifully expendable, unlike some of the other powerful information roles on Trouble Brewing, such as the Empath, the Fortune Teller, and the Undertaker. But how do you utilize all of this? Well, first comes with confirming the player that you saw. And there are two ways to go about this. There's more of a public approach and more of a private approach. Let's discuss the benefits of each. The first option is straight and to the point. Hard claim their role directly to them. Now, many players do lie about their role on the first day of a good game of Clocktower. But if one of the players that the storyteller showed you seems particularly taken aback by this approach, you may have just confirmed the veracity of your information with a terrific social read. Alternatively, you could simply claim to be the Washerwoman who saw something and exchange information. Some Washerwomen prefer to lead off with false information to test whether or not one of the players that the storyteller showed them is actually an evil player who might presume them to either be the drunk or poisoned night one, and then go back and clarify with the appropriate player what they actually saw. Credit, by the way, to Andrew Nathanson of Cult of the Clocktower. You can check out that podcast at the link below. Or perhaps the inverse of the first strategy, you can simply approach a player, claim to be the Washerwoman, and ask them if they are the specific role you've seen. This approach does provide perhaps the highest amount of trust, barring you being potentially a spy bluffing as a Washerwoman, but can also garner a lot of suspicion, especially if you continue to live through the later stages of the game. However, some players might offer their actual role in order to correct you, which can also be very powerful information to obtain. And finally, this last one is a bit chaotic, and I have to again credit Andrew Nathanson of Cult of the Clocktower. First, claim a different role to every other player, telling only one or maybe two other players the role that you actually saw. Then approach each of the players you saw and have them ask the players you told the role you saw to exactly what you told them. So as an example, if I am the Washerwoman who saw a mayor, I will tell one or two other players that I am the mayor. Then I will have the players that I saw ask what I told those one or two other players I was. This has the advantage of the other player basically being able to confirm the information that you learned without ever having to make a claim themselves, allowing you two to rendezvous at a later point without arousing any suspicion as to your information. And now let's talk about the second way to confirm the player that you saw, the public approach. For this, you simply announce publicly that you are the washerwoman who saw X role. Or maybe not. If you've seen a particularly spicy role, like an empath, a fortune teller, an undertaker, maybe you just keep hush-hush about the role that you saw. Then, as you go about your day, you can potentially misdirect some of the evil players by not even communicating with either of the players that you saw, throwing off their scent as best as possible. This strategy does have the downside of making you pretty obviously not the far less expendable role that you saw. Unless you start utilizing it as one such role. It might be something to try the next time that you are a fortune teller, empath, undertaker, mayor. Just claim loudly to be the washerwoman who saw your role and watch evil flail around as they try to poison or kill this very powerful role while it's sitting healthy and good with you the entire time. Okay, so you've confirmed your player. Now what do you do? Let's discuss the options. First, you can role swap with the player that you saw. Basically, claim to be their role and have them claim washerwoman. This usually works best if you've confirmed them in more of a private capacity. But if you can safely and continually allow someone to gain good information, or die in the place of a monk, or soak a poison so that the imp can kill the soldier, you will provide your team with the best possible chance of tracking down exactly who is good and exactly who is evil. Alternatively, keep to the quieter side, especially if you can garner social trust. This can be tricky to do without sharing your information, but again, if you can survive until the final three with no one but you, the player you're confirming, and one other player living, you pretty much know who the demon is. And even if you die, but the player you're confirming lives, you can be pretty sure they're not the demon. One of the advantages of the washerwoman, according to the official Blood on the Clocktower wiki at least, is that it's usually very easy to determine whether or not you are the drunk or have been poisoned on night one. And this is especially true if neither of the players that you were shown claims to be the role that you saw. However, you might just confirm the drunk as the role that they believe themselves to be, thus confirming ineffectual information or an ability that won't function. So be on guard. And lastly, what if you're evil with a washerwoman bluff? Let's go over the options. The easiest option, of course, is to simply claim to be the washerwoman who is confirming another one of the bluffs, probably the one that your demon is taking. Especially if you are an expendable role, like a baron, or potentially even a spy, a timely death in the night might help solidify that you two were in a role swap with each other, thus confirming the other player, again, likely your demon, and allowing them to slip past Good's radar. Alternatively, you could try to use any of the aforementioned washerwoman strategies, hoping that you luck into confirming another good player. This is usually a better play to make when you can fall back onto a different bluff, claiming that you were just trying to trap an evil player, or maybe just being silly and fun. But if you're not known for making that type of play, it probably will come off a little suspicious. Finally, you can just claim to have bogus pings, and therefore, obviously, you were poisoned night one, which might mask poisoning elsewhere. Or you could be the drunk, therefore throwing suspicion onto other people claiming to be the outsiders. This is a bit of a less obvious play, and one that might render you as being highly suspicious, but if you can pull it off socially, you really might be able to mess with people's perceptions of what's going on. If you're a poisoner or a Scarlet Woman, though, I might lean on avoiding this play. Though if it can help take heat off your demon, absolutely go for it. And if you are the imp, later in the game, people might just think you're a loud minion trying to prevent a demon from being put on the block. And of course, if you have a spy, oh, the world is your oyster. Just keep in mind that if players do start being suspicious of a spy game, you will probably be one of the players under the heaviest amount of suspicion. But we'll cover spy in another time. I hope this guide gets you off to a good start when you next draw the Washerwoman token out of the bag. I am Atreides with Nocturne Gaming, and I hope that in your next games of Blood on the Clocktower, you kill with grace, die with dignity, and play with integrity. Or at least, token integrity. Hey, it's Atreides. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Token Integrity. If you did and you're looking for more Blood on the Clocktower strategy tips and tricks, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so that you're alerted whenever a new video comes out. If you're looking for some amazing Blood on the Clocktower gameplay, check out almost any of the other playlists on this channel. Or catch me live on Twitch every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're looking for even more ways to support this channel, you can treat yourself to some merch at our store link below or join our growing band of supporters on Patreon. Shout out to our current patrons. Our epic patrons, Toki, Tomcat, Leo the Leopard, and Mathblade. Our legendary patrons, Irie, Kevin Jung, Caspian Drago, Clara, Jeff Z, Alan Michael, That Guy's Hat, Rowan Wablin, Titus, Lumu, Guggy, open parentheses, cool, closed parentheses, Ongaku, Arbater, and Dark Saphira. And our mythical patrons, the cream of the crop, Siobhan Reed, Rosiphius, Bluebeard, The Lost, and Kageichi. Thank you so much for this gesture of love and support to all things gaming. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.